So, welcome guys on the PassionAnimator Talk Show. And today in this episode, we have Pranav here from London. He is working in Framestore and he is really a great animator. And he is touched by the mission that what we are really trying to do to educate people about the animation industry and how you have to approach the animation industry. So, if you're really looking to become an animator, then this is the thing you must watch. So let's welcome Pranav.
Hi, Naresh.
Hi Pranav. How are you?
Yeah, I'm glad to be here. I'm good. How are you?
Yes, I'm good too. It's
Yeah,
great
yeah,
to
yeah.
have you here, and my deepest gratitude towards you for sharing the time with us.
Yeah, really, thanks for having me. It was my pleasure being invited by you. So, really, thanks for that.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. So share, like, tell me something about how did you start your animation journey? Was it like you had an interest from the childhood, or is it like somebody gave you an insight on the animation industry?
Mm, yeah. So, just to summarize, cartoons used to always fascinate me when
Mm,
I was a child. So, that's where everything started, like the colors, the movement, and everything. And
mm,
it's a visual magic, right? So, it is something that you can't see around.
mm,
And back then it was just my TV. I used to watch like Disney shows and everything. So yeah, that's what fascinated me, and I was always into comic books,
mm,
reading. So anything visual used to fascinate me.
mm,
So, and it used to be appealing, okay, how it works and
mm.
everything. So that's how it started for me.
Okay. So when did you start exactly your animation journey?
Actually, just after my HSC, my 12th, I was always trying to figure out ways how I can get into this.
Mm,
So back then there was no career counseling or anything
mm,
like that. So I got to know from my brother that there is few institutes and they teach animation.
mm,
And through that medium you can get into this field
mm,
and work for animation and things. And back then I didn't knew the difference between VFX animation, cartoon animation.
mm,
Back then it was just CG. Getting into VFX was nowhere easy back then,
mm,
unlike nowadays.
mm,
So yeah, I started enrolled to that institute, which was Z Institute of Creative Arts.
mm,
So yeah, that's how I started my journey learning animation, and it was a 3 year course.
mm,
But I dropped out around just before my course. I started working
okay.
because I wanted hands-on experience how things work. And yeah, I started with a company called Pixion,
Mm,
and that's how my journey started back in 2012. Yeah,
mm,
that's when I started. It's been like around 11 years now
mm. Yes.
working in this field. Yeah.
So how is your experience now for 11 years? Were there any challenges to reach where you are today?
Yeah. Uh, you know how the animation education works in India.
Yeah.
So it's not that you get to learn everything in institute.
Mm-hmm.
It's just you are introduced to the software.
Mm-hmm.
So I got to know there's something called Maya,
Mm-hmm.
there's something called traditional animation. I just got a uh, just a glimpse into how the world works.
Mm-hmm.
But from there, you have to study yourself
Mm-hmm.
and the studio experience and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Mm, it's just about a trial and error most of the time. It took a lot of time for me to get to this position where I am right now. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm still learning. I won't say I'm the best animator in the world or
Yes.
anything like that. I'm still a student who is trying to
Mm-hmm.
learn and get better every day.
Mm.
Yeah.
That's what I think it should happen, that you should keep on learning
Yeah.
every day. So
Yeah.
how difficult was it for you to get your first job? As you mentioned that you only learned the tools and the softwares. So how difficult was it to get into the studio and explore the things in the animation?
Actually, for me, still feels like magic. How I got my first job, because it came to me from nowhere, because I was in around my second year
Mhm.
learning animation. That's when this studio called Pixion approached my animation institute,
Mhm.
saying they wanted some freshers pass outs from the batch if
Mhm.
they can provide someone.
Mhm.
But back then, it was like sudden VFX boom, right? In around 2011, 13, during the Life of Pi era,
Mhm.
when
Yes,
all those things started.
mm.
So everyone was trying to get into VFX, and the easiest way back then was roto compositing,
Yes.
match move. These were the ways how you can get into
Mm.
those companies. So everyone was like running behind roto compositing and everything, and I was the only student back then who was trying to pursue animation.
Mm.
Actually, there were like three of us
Mm.
who were trying to pursue animation, but we were in the second year.
Mm.
So one of my faculties, he randomly pitched the idea to the company. See, we have three students
Mm.
who are not even pass out, but maybe you can give them a test and see if it works for your criteria.
Mhm.
And I was sent to the company for a test, and luckily I just got in. Without any experience, knowledge, I would say I learned everything from that company.
Yeah.
So everything has the initial pipeline bits,
Mm.
how the pipeline works, how
Mm.
and this Pixion company, it was a small team. It was around like 50 people working in under a hood.
Mhm.
So I used to see everyone work shoulder to shoulder. So the rigger used to sit next to me. The
Mm.
lighting artist used to sit
Mm.
beside me. So I got to see the overall pipeline,
Mm.
how actually it is. So I
Mm.
would say from Pixion, I learned how the pipeline works,
Mhm.
and I learned rigging, and I till date I feel blessed for that opportunity that I was a rigger back then.
Mhm.
So yeah, it still helps in my workflow.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just about picking up things
Mhm.
and learning and unlearning things, because yeah, eventually on the way you will also pick up bad habits,
Mhm.
like bad workflows, just to get faster.
Mhm.
So you constantly have to like sit down with yourself and think, okay, what's the best way you
Mhm.
can approach a shot, and
Mhm.
what's the clean I would say what's the cleanest way to approach a shot.
Mhm.
Because I see there are like very good animators who uh, who deliver very good shots,
Mhm.
but I see they are very slow in terms of their workflow.
Mhm.
So it's just about the process. Once you know the right process,
Mhm.
you can deliver the same or the better output in very less amount of time.
Mhm.
So yeah, that's it.
Good, good, good to hear that.
Yeah.
And you mentioned about the process. So, what exactly is this thing? And you said that you also learned rigging back then when you were learning. So, is it like necessary for an animator to learn rigging?
uh, it just adds value to you as a artist, and it also adds value to your overall workflow, basically. Because when I'm working on a shot, and if I want any rigging support to it,
Mm.
I don't want to I won't have to depend on someone or keep on waiting just for a control to be added, because at least I can keep on going.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
basic things you're talking about, right? Not about the human rigs.
I won't say, yeah, at least it's good to know the basics, at least.
Yeah.
That's good. But in my first job, I used to do rigging more and animation less.
Okay.
so, so yeah, because it was a Bollywood VFX company,
Okay.
Pixion. So uh, I it was usually in terms of animation, I used to just animate like cars, inorganic
Mm-hmm.
objects and things.
Mm-hmm.
But most of the times it used to be like rigging digitables for
Mm-hmm.
like VFX shots, or rigging like vehicles. So yeah, I was there for around 2.5 years, and it was mostly I was doing rigging over there.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I had like opportunity to learn hands-on from a very good rigging artist.
Mm-hmm.
He's a CG soup in MPC now. So I would like to name him Dheeraj Chaudhary.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, he was a very amazing artist. He still inspires me. So yeah, I got to learn things from him in terms of pipeline
Mm-hmm.
and everything. So yeah, I still feel blessed for that.
Good, good. So currently you are working in Framestore, London, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
how is your experience about working there and now working in Framestore?
Actually, the experience. Actually, I my last company was MPC in Bangalore. So
Mm-hmm.
I was there for around 3.5 years. 3.5 years. Yeah. So off. So back then when I was in MPC, the only difference that I felt was the feedbacks.
Mm-hmm.
There used to be a delay in feedbacks.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't know how it works now, but back then we were like 10 animators in Bangalore, and we used to coordinate mostly with the London team.
Mm-hmm.
So, and there's a time difference, right, of like 5.5 hours, I think. So
Mm-hmm.
because of that, we had to deliver our shots, wait for the next day.
Mm-hmm.
Then we used to get like the feedbacks. And
Mm-hmm.
plus, because of these logistic issues, we used to get like a bit more mediocre level of shots.
Mm-hmm.
I won't say the best shots. All the creamier works used to be delivered in London by London animators itself. Yeah, because of the logistic issue, which makes sense because of the time delays and everything. And for me, that was pretty annoying. Like I wanted to do those key shots or those hero shots. Why am I not getting those?
Mm-hmm.
So that's how I thought, why shouldn't I try and go there
Mm-hmm.
and actually work with them? That would be like a faster way of learning new things. And yeah, it would also be amazing to work side by side with all these amazing artists.
Mm-hmm.
And when Framestore approached me, I was like, oh, this is my calling. I should definitely go there and try this.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's the biggest difference, I would say, in
Mm-hmm.
terms of working in India and in London. Yeah.
This is what I feel as every animator who really wants to be in a good place. Every
Yeah.
animator wants that I should get a key shot. I should get
Yeah.
that heroic shot so that
Yeah.
I can show it that how great I can do that or what performance I can deliver instead
Yeah.
of getting stuck into those normal basic shots. So this is what I've seen the difference that who really willing like who have a dream or desire to reach there, those animators are only the ones who actually are passionate about taking those shots, and the
Yeah.
normal people who are approaching as a just doing as a job or money making thing, they are like jitna easy hoga it's better, I can
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
finish and go back home.
Yeah. Yeah. End of the day, it's a skill based job, right? So it's
Mhm.
just about skill. It's not like operating a fridge or something that you
Yeah.
are pressing some certain buttons, or it's not monotonous, but
Mm.
because each and every shot that you get is different,
Different, yes.
and it has a different level of complexity added to it. So it's just about pursuing
Mm.
like the ways how you can improve yourself
Mhm.
and learn from others.
Mhm.
That's the biggest thing. It's how you take in feedbacks.
Mhm.
It's about attitude. There are like many things, not just work, but how you think, how you behave,
Mhm.
how you take feedbacks.
Mhm.
So yeah, many things that matter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So right from there when you started and till now, but do you can you share anything about the projects that you had the best experience working on that project? What would that project, can you name the project?
Actually, for me, the biggest break uh, into the concept of VFX animation was on Lion King. That was my first show in MPC. So I was working on that show for over a year, I believe. So that was something very new, and we had a very good lead in Bangalore. And yeah, the team in London was very supportive and patient because I was new to VFX. As in terms of this level of quality, I was pretty new. And starting on Lion King, the leads and supervisors in London were pretty patient. I would say I was trained in that show. I was not working, but I was trained. So that was something, that show is very special to me. After that, I worked on One and Only Ivan. So that was also pretty good experience. Then like multiple shows. My last show in MPC was Chip and Dale's Rescue Ranger. And I also got to work on the recent the Oscar winning movie RRR.
Yes.
Yeah, so we had the tiger sequence done in Bangalore. So yeah, it won an Oscar recently, and yeah, it's great news. So that was exciting. So yeah, after that, Framestore happened to me, and that was a animator I used to admire a lot since my uh, days being a student, and eventually that guy was my first animation soup in Framestore. He is Elvis Avati. So that was like huge. So yeah, he was my anim supervisor in Beast. So I just got into Framestore, and first day I get to know that I would be working with this guy, and I was like, oh, now that's something. Yeah. So I was like, oh, life is being very kind to me. So I was like, oh, now this is huge. So, and plus the show, it was like I would say for the animators who worked on this show, this would be counted as one of the complex shows that we worked on. Because mostly all the shots were like single shot takes. Like each shot used to be around 30 seconds, 40 seconds, or over a minute. And it was all stitch. So getting the performance log, getting the mechanics right, getting everything's look right in camera and look right in perspective, all the moving cameras, it was a chaos, that show. But it was fun. It was very rewarding. So for me, this is the show that I would say was the most complex and most challenging one.
No, good to
Yeah.
hear that. So
Yeah.
maybe if you can share, what if you can share the shots which you have done on the Beast and let the audience understand about the stuff what you have done, and also if you can explain the things how you did it, what was the idea behind doing that animation, or maybe you can
Yeah.
share the workflow about the animation. It will be really great to see that, and audience will have an understanding from the industry perspective that how does it work in the industry actually.
Sure, I can first share my reel, the Beast reel, and we can talk about it
Yeah,
once it's
sure.
done.
Definitely,
Yeah.
definitely you can share.
I'll share my screen now.
Are you okay? Here, Uncle Martin. Some water.
Thanks.
What? What's wrong?
Don't move. Okay, look away from him. Don't look into his eyes. Just move away from his window. Into the seat. Stay calm. I'm watching him.
You okay? Stay still.
You go, boy.
It's okay. You have to stay still. Okay.
Okay, I think we're gonna be good. Easy, Coda. Don't play so rough. Don't play so rough, my boy. Don't play so rough. You also want some love. You want some love, yeah. Hang on. What's happened to you? What's happened to your girl?
This is really, really great. So how did you do this? How did you do this? If you can share the breakdown, or if you can share the process behind how it's done, and you people are able to see what we think that it's real, but it's not actually real.
Yeah, so yeah, I will just start from the beginning, how the process and how this show was. So, like I said, this was my first show in Framestore, and in this show, I was lucky to be. I started on this show in on dev stage. So I started on when the rig and everything was just getting made. So that's where I started on the show. So, and as you saw, these are like long single take shots, but in reality these are like stitch shots. So the first shot where you saw the lion getting over the car,
Mhm.
doing his thing, so that was like basically 3 shots.
Okay.
So yeah, that was treated like 3 shots and it was stitched together in comp.
Mhm.
So once a shot was done, we used to hook up the poses so it blends through uh, each shot. And plus, it was a big challenge for the layout team to make sure that the camera motion is consistent, or else you will see that single frame
Yes.
jump
Yes.
when it switches. So that was the approach that we did. So before starting this show, we had there's a stage called post whiz.
Mhm.
So once we get this long takes, once we get the data from match move, we first used to just it's more like dance choreography. We used to like set the poses like where the lion would be in each frame.
Mhm.
It's just like 2D animation. We were like getting the key poses, the key positions right. It's more of a staging pass.
Mhm.
So once that was done, then comes the blocking where we used to log the performance.
Mhm.
And like I mentioned, each and every supervisor has their own way of working.
Mhm.
Like Elvis Zavati is very much into performance. Like for him, he treats the shot just like how a live action director thinks.
Mhm.
So for him, it's all about performance. So we used to block out the performance first.
Mhm.
Also, the biggest challenge in this one was, since it's like long takes,
Mhm.
it's very hard to find like real life references.
Mhm.
Like we see all the student work these days where they just replicate a reference,
Yes.
like they
Yes.
copy a reference, something like that. So that doesn't work in production actually. So that's why it's very necessary to have the knowledge of body mechanics
Mhm.
and design, and that uh, comes with time and practice.
Mhm.
So yeah, so just like we do in cartoon animation, we used to block out how
Yes.
the performance would be.
Yes. Yes.
So that used to look very, I won't say it used to be very best
Mhm.
animation, but it used to just deliver how the performance would be.
Mhm.
And that used to be the initial,
Mhm.
actually that used to be done in the post whiz. And after that, in blocking, we used to like tighten up the overall performance using like small bits and pieces of references, or maybe at some points we had to shoot ourselves doing some specific actions to get the mechanics
Mhm.
and the timing right. So it was a long process, I would say, in terms of getting the performance right. So once the performance was locked, then comes the fun part, which is the details. That's I like to call it body mechanics pass.
Mhm.
And that's where you keep all your references and resources aside, and now you start implementing all the body mechanics principles,
Mhm.
the principles of weight and everything, which I see lacks in a lot of student animation these days. They just try to copy out the silhouette of a reference from a reference, but not the details.
Mhm. I
So
also
yeah,
felt the same thing. I also felt like in VFX they might be copying the whole frames, but now as you shared that it's not that way and it's the process. So thank you for sharing that and making those students aware about this process.
no, it's a creative process, right? So there's no magic trick to it. You can't just like in my shot, like in the second shot, the where the actor is hugging the lion.
Mm-hmm.
I had like zero reference for those shots. So it's all like moving forces and the weight and getting things right in perspective. It's just pure body mechanics, I would say, and some pose references from some YouTube videos and Google images. That's it. But I hardly had any reference for those shots. So yeah, you have to keep in mind that once you are in production, life won't be very easy that way, because you have to know the principles of body mechanics and weight
Mm-hmm.
and things. So that was the overall. Just to summarize, that was the overall workflow
Mm-hmm.
for this specific show, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
The most of the time we spent was on locking the performance, because the director, the initial brief was that he wanted the line to be grounded
Mm-hmm.
uh, within the environment, and also within the weight. He wanted to feel the weight actually. So he was very consistent about that. He wanted the weight to be right for this show. So yeah, that way it was fun and challenging.
That's why we
Yeah,
can see that it's the weight of the lion. We can feel
yeah,
it through the
yeah,
animation, that how heavy he is.
yeah.
And I really like that shot, second one, which that guy, that the lion is playing with them, with the guy. So how was that a reference shot? That guy, it would be a green screen.
Uh, Not a green screen. It was an actual shoot. The actor was in the actual location. So the fun part was there was a guy in a lion suit, basically,
Okay,
who was doing all this basic performance and playing along with the actor. That
okay,
was pretty funny, how the guy was interacting with the actor.
okay.
So yeah, we had that's how, just to get the context right.
Mm-hmm.
So there was a guy on a huge lion suit,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, later on it was cleaned up in comp in
Okay,
and then we got the clean plates, and that's how we started blocking out the poses, all the grips and everything.
okay,
Yeah,
okay. So that means
it
you
was
you
pretty
will be,
intense.
yes, it would be really intense to just do it, and to do it in a particular, it's a kind of a restriction, right? You are in a kind of a restriction to do in a certain way, along with taking care of the body mechanics and everything.
Yeah, yeah, because in VFX you are locked with a specific camera,
Mm,
and like specific performance,
yes.
because you're bound to make the character interact with a real life
Mm,
actor or a real life camera.
mhm.
So that's a restriction, because in CG you have this option to like play with the camera, or maybe sometimes even cheat with the camera.
Yes, yes,
Not always, but
yes.
yeah, can be done
Can be
if
done.
required.
Yes.
But in VFX, when the shot is approved
Mm,
from the director in terms of the raw plate,
mhm,
so yeah, it won't change.
mm,
So yeah, you are stuck with that specific camera angle, and you have to make sure that your character works in from that camera
mm,
in terms of appeal plus the weight.
mhm.
That's where this copying reference wala concept
Yeah.
uh, fails actually. It's a good practice to learn body mechanics and things,
Mm,
but that's not how it works in
mm.
actual production.
But
Yeah.
how do you feel when you see the students just copying things? What do you really want to tell or convey to those people who are just copying things and having a vision of getting into some good projects?
I would say keep on doing it. It's fine.
Mm,
There's no right way to uh, approach it. I would say it's fine, but you have to keep this in mind, that this is not how it works in production. Because so it's about learning how things move.
mm,
Like when you are studying a line reference, or when you are animating a line, just try to study the body mechanics, how the anatomy works.
mm,
So why a certain joint moves,
mm,
like when a lion is walking, you have to see why the head is rotating rotating in a certain channel, I would say.
Mhm.
Like when a lion is walking, just a small example, when the shoulder drops,
Mhm.
I see when the shoulder drops, in most of the, in 99% of the, in 90% of the shots, I would say, the lion keeps on looking straight in the student's work.
Mhm.
But that's not how a joint chain works, because when the shoulder drops, the head also rotates.
Mhm.
So it's all a chain basically. So
Change.
yeah, so you have to get those logics and concepts right.
Mhm.
So once you have all those knowledge,
Mhm.
you can do a shot like this where you can, just with the performance, now you can tighten up
Mhm.
things like,
Mhm.
um, like make it more believable
More
basically, I
believable.
would say.
Mhm.
uh, I have this theory which one of my seniors taught me like way back in MPC, that the main difference between cartoon animation and VFX animation is like, cartoon animation is like when you're drawing a caricature, I would say.
Mhm.
If I'm drawing a caricature out of you, I can just exaggerate your eyes, your nose,
Mhm. Mhm.
uh, but still it works.
Mhm.
But when I'm drawing a portrait, I have to make sure that all the dimensions and all the shapes are dot right.
Yes.
Otherwise, it doesn't feels real, right? That is how VFX works, because v- it's like you are replicating life.
Mhm.
So definitely you need a reference and things when you're animating something like that, but after a point you have to add more life to it. So that's where you have to apply
Mhm.
the body mechanics principles and things.
Mhm.
So for the students, I would say when you're starting out with a reference, good, just use it,
Mhm.
but just keep it till blocking.
Mhm.
So I would say until blocking, in the first blocking, just get the juice out of that reference. Like make sure you hit everything, all the details,
Right.
and silhouettes and everything right from the
Yes.
reference.
Absolutely.
But after that stage, just delete that reference and
Yes.
now just put in your body mechanics principles, the weight.
Mhm.
Because long back, just before joining, just after Lion King, I animated a saber tooth shot.
Mhm.
It's there on my Vimeo page. So that shot, if you see, my main agenda of animating that shot was like making it look big and more heavy.
Mhm.
Because if I just follow the reference, definitely I won't see much up and down on the chest.
Mhm.
Like it doesn't feel that heavy if you just roto out a reference.
Mhm.
So once you get the reference, just get the juice out of it and now add all those body mechanic principles.
Mhm.
It shouldn't feel cartoony.
Cartoony.
There's a thin line
Mhm.
where things might
Mhm.
look cartoony, but you have to just try to control things
Mhm.
and get the weight right. For me, weight is something that matters a lot in animation.
Mhm.
So yeah.
Yeah, that's the one thing I also really want to share on this front, that this is what I genuinely want students to understand. As you shared that the weight thing, and you should not, copying is fine at a certain level, and after that you need to take care of how it's actually done. And I
Yeah.
would like to share that that is what I do in my mentorship as well. So when students come to me, I teach them how you have to approach the shot, not copying things, but understanding. So
Yeah.
people come who have already done their animation courses, and still till now they are like, I know the walk cycle, but when you tell them why that pose is like that, they don't have any answer. So that means the body mechanics is missing somewhere. So you know how to copy it, but you don't know why it's that way, why
Yeah.
the hands are like that, why the head is not rotated. So all those things students need to understand, that this is how it works, and that will help them to grow in a right direction. So
Yeah.
if you want to go somewhere, then you will be at least in the right direction. So you
Yeah.
will take less time to reach there.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if you have to share, if I ask you that what is the most important thing for an animator, if he wants to work in the industry, what can you suggest for a beginner that they need to take care about?
I would say just be ready to unlearn and learn things again, that is something which I constantly do till date, because every day I'm learning something new. And so I have to unlearn certain concepts and try to learn it, because every day the industry, the world, everything is upgrading, right? So the way of thinking, everything is changing. It won't be the same 10 years down the line. That is something that you have to accept at the beginning itself. So if you accept that thing, you would tend to grow. So you can't stick to a specific workflow for a long time. It will change. So that is something I would say. Copy a reference. It's a very good exercise. That's how I started. But definitely just keep in mind ki there would be a point where you have to learn something new, and just don't get over your head saying, oh, I know creature animation now. That is not how it works, because there is, every day you have to learn. Art is something that keeps on upgrading, and there is no limit to it. So you can't be a best artist ever. That is my concept. There's always a scope of improvement.
Yes, definitely.
So yeah, it's just about being aware about that concept. That would make you keep going. That's it.
So can you share your experience, as you have worked in India as well and you are working in London now? So is there any major difference between the work style in India and in there, London?
I would say outside India, in general, I would say things are more organized. Like how the overall pipeline is, and how people think, and the overall planning process. So when I am animating something in something, let's take in Framestore, I'm just thinking about animation. Like they give me a clear mind space that this is your shot, it's your baby now, just own it. That is the mindset that I would be having. But in India, nothing's planned, I would say. I don't know if it's still the same, but at least when I was working in all those studios other than MPC was a bit more organized, I would say. But all those other studios, things were more chaotic, I would say. So that is something that does change outside. So I would say anyone who wants to appreciate the art and be more grateful for what you're doing, you should definitely try a studio abroad just to get a taste of it.
Yeah.
It's fine if you don't want to stay. It's just get the taste, just see how it works. And if you want, just get back and do what you like. But I would say just experience it once. It's like a very good thing, I would say. It's very good to see how people think, because you get to see all new perspectives, new mindsets, new work culture. So I would say just experience it and just decide if you want to stay or not. It's fine. It's just about being happy wherever you are. If you feel happy working in India, in any of those studios, yeah, it's good. It's fine.
Yes.
Yeah.
So if you can share about the time, like you did this shot. So generally, how much time do you get for these kind of shots? And how is it? Like, it's based on complexity, or there is some particular pattern for the timeline you have? And what is the exact timeline, like, approx?
It mostly depends on the complexity of the shot. And also it's for a shot like this, which is totally based on performance. Like I would say for all these shots, I would have delivered like almost 10 variations, 10 to 15 variations of the overall performance.
Final one.
That not final animation, the performance. First you have to log the choreography, as in how it will jump, what so like those So that's where it takes the most of the time. But
Mhm.
once the performance is logged, then it's just about finishing up the animation.
Mhm.
It won't take much time. You would get maybe a week or two to finish it up, finish it to just finish it. But for the performance, yeah, they do give you a lot of time, because there's a long hierarchy of people waiting for their approvals. So yeah, once everyone is satisfied because eventually you're working for someone else's vision, right? It's
Yes.
not your baby end of the day.
Yes. Yes.
So definitely there's a lot of approvals that you need for a shot to be delivered. So yeah, it does take a lot of time.
Yeah. Yeah. So good to hear that, and that's where
Yeah.
we are a little bit different in terms of work culture and delivering the quality as well. People can deliver, but it's just where you are. Because of that, that's when you said it right, that if you really want to taste it, have a look into the studios outside and then
Yeah.
decide whether you want to work it or not. So if any other suggestions you can share for all those people who are curious and fascinated about animation and who just want to get into this industry, start learning. So if you can share what they should think about before getting in, how they should have the mindset, anything like that, which will be beneficial for them.
I would say it's just about being patient. Like, take your time. It's fine. It's just about being persistent. You have to keep on doing it.
Mm,
For me, it took 10 years to reach a company like Framestore, and I'm still learning.
mm,
I'm still learning a lot, and I have a long way to go.
mhm,
And it's the same. It takes time. So just be patient and be kind to yourself. So
mm,
it's fine if it takes time, because I am a slow learner. For me, it takes time. But I was consistent with what I wanted and what I wanted to achieve.
mm,
So that's it. It's just keep on doing it. Be Don't be very hard to yourself. Just take baby steps. Like,
mm,
just keep on moving. That's it.
mhm.
Yeah. And it's not easy. It won't be a very easy journey. It would be tough. Yeah, but it's fine if you enjoy doing it, because I enjoy my work.
Mm,
I really like what I'm doing.
mm,
So it's fine. So if it takes time, then that's how it is.
mm.
I
So,
have to be patient and
mm.
just try to keep on pushing myself and learning new things. That's it. Be kind to be kind to yourself. That's it,
So,
I would
so
say.
if the beginners are having a mentality of I just want it now, or I'll become this great in 1 year, then it's a big no-no for them to even think.
Uh, like I said, the industry is upgrading. Like, every passing day,
Mm,
not even year, every passing day, things are improving. You see new uh, types of new forms of animation popping out.
mm.
You see
Yes,
new styles of
yes,
animation
yes.
coming in. So
Styles.
it's constant learning.
Mm-hmm.
So you can't be like okay with with where you are at
Yes.
certain point,
Mm-hmm.
because I can't be like, if I deliver a very good shot, I can't think myself of a very good animator.
Mm-hmm.
I should be like grounded with
Mm-hmm.
reality,
Mm-hmm.
that uh, this is not the pinnacle
Mm-hmm.
of quality, or
Yeah,
there's a long way to go.
yeah.
So it takes time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you can't be the best animator in a year. It will
Yeah.
take time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it's fine.
So thank you for sharing your time. Thank you for everything. And we have come to the end of the episode, end of the session.
Yeah, also, just before we finish up, I
Mhm,
wanted to ask you something. Can you talk about the initiative? Like, I got to see a few of your videos,
mhm,
and it was like pretty good insight, like how you think and your perspective
mhm.
about the animation industry in India is,
Yeah.
and what do you think how the industry is going and where it will be. So can you
It will
just
be it will be somewhere in a better position if the things start to change gradually, right? So why am I doing this? My mission of doing this is to educate the students in the right way. I really want that they should know that how the things work in the studio. It's not what you are learning. If your learning does not have an inclination to what you will do next, then it does not make sense. For even if you are doing spending 3 years, so it's like banging your head on some place where there is no door, right? You should bang your head on the door so that the door opens at least, right? That is the problem, and I'm seeing that continuously. So I faced this around when you started. Almost after that, I started in 2012 2013. So 1 year I did not get any job. I was
No.
blank. And when I got into the industry, I was like begging for a job, literally, that I want a job, I want a job. Nobody was ready. And then I started as a layout artist. And when I gave the test, I did not know what is a reference editor. So that was a breakthrough moment, and I realized one day when I become someone good, not the best, but at least if I do something, if I learn things, I will give back and I will educate the people. That was the moment I decided, but I did not know that when I will start, how I will start, what will be the timing. That all happened now suddenly. But that time I had this idea of educating students, and now I'm doing that. And I'm really happy to do that, because what I feel is there are a lot of people who are there in the industry who are working, and industry needs more people who have a better understanding. And it's really difficult for industry to have those good animators, especially at the beginning as a fresher. It's very difficult for them to find those people having the right mentality, having the right approach, process, everything, right? So I am preparing them so that the studios don't need to even train them. They just need to show them the location of the files and everything, and they can immediately start working from the day one, as we do as an experienced person. Anyways, they will learn. But for industry, it will be a good sign that they don't need to uh, hire somebody or waste their time on the people who are coming in. So that's my approach, and that is my why behind starting this. And I'm doing these shows for a reason, that this shows a direct insight from the industry, right? If I'm talking, people might not believe, and it happens, right? It's a human psychology. You
Yeah.
don't believe when something starts up. That's why it's difficult to have a startup. And I realized this, that this is why startups fail, because people don't believe in you when you start something new. And when you become a brand, then people start believing you. But to reach there, it's way long way, and it's really difficult to get there. But as you said, you have been persistent. That's the way I'm looking for, that I'll be persistent in doing these things and educating people by my mentorship, through the videos, through the shows, and people like you who are helping me for coming here and sharing your screen. So thank you so much. I really thank you, Pranav, for coming here and sharing your screen, sharing your time, right? My deepest gratitude towards you. Thank you so much for coming here. So at the
Sure,
end of
man.
the
My
show,
pleasure.
anything you would like to share from your end which might help, and we can end up this close the show. At the end of the session, anything you would like to share?
I think that's it from my side. I would just say be like I mentioned earlier, just be persistent with what you are doing,
Mhm.
and yeah, and be patient.
Yeah.
It's fine. Good things will come along. It takes
Yeah.
time. That's it.
Yeah, it takes time. I figured out,
Yeah.
I came to know that yes, it
Yeah.
takes time. Takes time. So
Yeah.
thank you so much, Pranav. Thank you so much for coming. And we will meet again, maybe
Sure, man.
someday again.
Yeah.
Might be sharing something more onto the animation thing, or doing something good into the animation industry and giving back to the
Yeah.
society. So once again, thank you, and see you soon.
Thank you so much. See you soon.
Okay, bye bye.
Bye bye.